Hello everyone and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 259. Today is Sunday, January 6, 2018. 2019. See, I'm gonna mess up the day for a few weeks, I think. And I'm really glad you can join me today. It is a very blustery day. I don't know if this sound's going to come through. I can never really tell what sounds my microphone does or doesn't pick up. But there's definitely a howl. It is a beautiful sunny day. I probably could have recorded outside, but wind. So I have the wintertime noise soundtrack with the springtime weather, so whatever, such is life. I guess it makes sense that you tend to associate blustery with spring too. So, the theme of today's episode is probably going to be yellow, but whatever, such is life. So, where to start? I guess I can start with that which is behind me. I feel a little bit silly about this, but I guess it's not the end of the world. So, my convertible has problems. One of those problems is that when it rains, water collects on the driver's side footwell. And for some reason, I went to go put my hat onto different needles, and I found it there soaking up the water for me, unhelpfully. So it's gotten to the point now where the hat is damp, and I put the yarn on a Swift to make it dry, and the yarn on the Swift is dry, which is good. But it's probably to the point now where it's probably okay to knit upon again. But I was just so angry when I, found it in the car, and then I touched it, and was like, oh, is so wet. So this is definitely getting a good wash once it's done, but I didn't really want to take the time to give it a good wash before it was done. So this is the Once and Future hat. It is out of fiber optic in the Rouge Violet Cerulean colorway or something like that, some order. And I got pretty far on the ribbing for the second time, and then I decided that it looked sort of sloppy and that I needed to switch the zeros, and then it soaked up a bunch of water. So I ripped back to that point because I figured the yarn would dry faster, not on the hat, which is true. And I have my size 0 needles attached to it now, so I'm dropping 2 needle sizes in order to knit the brim. I started the ribbing a little bit later on this time with the hat. So that it's just sort of in this solid, rougey color. It seems like there's way more rouge in this than there is blue or purple, but whatever, such is life. So I'll be knitting this off the Swift. Or off the Nitty Notty. Because I don't think I can put it on the Swift. Maybe I can. I might try after the podcast, but I realized that I wanted to count some yarn, and I do have a PVC Nitty Notty as well, so I could do that, but whatever. We're just gonna have to deal with the unquantified yarn and call it good. So, this is a variation on the sockhead hat. I started from the top and worked my way down, and I even took care of that stupid little end up there. So we are so close to being done. It is not even funny, and I'm gonna be much happier with it. It's definitely, what would it be? It's got good stretch, and then this will definitely be a nice slouchy hat, or I can fold up the brim and have it be more normal. So definitely a bit more length this time around because I used less stitches. So, using my handspun for the win. The other project that's using my handspun for the win is my breathing space. This is a Vera Valimaki pattern. and I am knitting it out of Nest in the Mistletoe, and then the Noel and Yule colors combo spun together. Last week I showed you 2 versions. This week I'm back down to 1. So I am committed now to the green MC, even though I don't have as much yardage of the green MC, even though I have more weight of the green MC. I am very, very close to separating for the sleeves, so after I recorded last week, I wound the other version of the sweater. Actually, the neck is like so. So I wound up the other version of the sweater that was using the multicolored yarn with all of its hand-spun stripiness back into balls. So I'm now knitting from the outside of the balls in order to make this version, which isn't the end of the world, it's just different. So, I am sort of keeping a close eye right now. I am modifying the pattern somewhat in order to try to take some of the weight or take some of the yardage out of the green and still have it look good. One of those things that I am doing is I actually started the stripes a little bit earlier so that I don't need as big of green blocks, because it sort of has like color blocks at the top, bottom, and the sleeves of the sweater. So by trying to, by trying to incorporate more of the blue into the pattern, that was probably the easiest way to do it, was just to start the stripes sooner. So, another round bites the dust. I am really liking how it's turning out. I don't think that it is going to be, too obnoxiously Christmassy, because I do have the blue. If I had had just the original color, I think that it would have been a little bit more obnoxious with the mistletoe, and I think that's why I hadn't originally gone with it. There isn't too much green that shows up in the other yarn, so it actually will have good contrast throughout. And I have made, or what would it be? I've tried to do a bit more of a bust adjustment, because I definitely have much more of this in front of me. So, I'm trying to keep an eye out to make sure that I'm not making the back too big or the sleeves too wide or stuff like that. So I think after I work the increases on the next stripe, that will be the point at which I pull off the sleeves, and that'll be cool. So, and then I'll probably knit a few rows after that and check and make sure it looks good. It's a little bit hard to believe that this is my second cup of coffee for the day. So far so good. Maybe I will be filled with regret later for making these modifications, I don't know. But it was the case where I didn't want to have like a loosey-goosey back in order to accommodate that. So I'm doing Amy Beth style double raglan increases after I started the stripes about every other row. Maybe I needed to do those more frequently, but whatever. So this is the yarn, the fur, this is my contrast color yarn, and right now it's pretty red, and then my fairly solid but slightly tonal foresty green. I will probably, I don't know, I guess I can take it off and see whether or not I need to switch to the bigger needles. So far so good. It isn't a very good carry around project, so we'll see how it moves forward. It is a great knit night project though. So there is that. So far so good, excited about it. I do ardently want to cast something new on, but I'll wait until I finish the hat. So I'll be going to SSK in July, and they just started the teacher knit along, and I've decided that I want to use my Woolfolk yarn to make a Tanis Gray cowl. And it's so perfect, so it's going to be like a closer to your neck cowl, and it uses 3 different colors, and I'm going to skip the corrugated ribbing because that is a waste of knitting. Corrugated ribbing doesn't even act like ribbing, so I'll put a different border on it. And hopefully that doesn't require going and buying 3 more skeins of it. But if it does, I guess it's not the end of the world. It is gorgeous, gorgeous. Irrational thoughts of whatever, like you just rub it all over. It's so wonderful. What would it be? They're charging you, but it seems like it's at least doubly as nice as what would it be regular old yarn is. So I'm gonna go with it. So that's sort of what's exciting and or whatever, exciting me and making me feel inspired right now. And hopefully I'll just sort of get that one out of the way. I'm not sure, I was sort of going through and trying to figure out like a good free pattern to knit, in contrast to a paid-for pattern. What would it be? I have a lot of the sweaters I want to make already sort of sorted, and a lot of the designers there were more along those lines. I'll have to take another look again at the patterns, but that was a case where I was specifically going through all of the teachers for SSK and trying to figure out, okay, I want to make something for my neck with the wool folk. What can I do? And got a perfect one there. The pattern name is escaping me right now, but I'll talk about that more when I finally get to cast on. So I'm flying solo again, and this time it's for an indeterminate amount of time. It was the case where I got to sleep in, and then like I text my husband, I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. He was like, I'm walking to the hardware store. So we ended up having like a really long phone conversation just as I was sort of like bumbling around the house trying to figure out what things need to get done and fun things and all of that fun stuff, and he was trying to figure out how to set up shop, whatever, out west in California. So what would it be? In this regard, it's probably a little bit easier being the trailing spouse because all of my stuff is with me. And what I'm doing right now is sort of, what I decided to do was to sort of get my stuff to a point where I could not need to worry about it as much. So when it comes to the combing project, I ran out of space in my little nest bag for all of my combing leftovers. So this is my first pass of combing waste. There's a decent amount there. What I have left to comb is really not all that much, so I can grab it and just show it all, or close to all of it all at once. So this is my maroon and black combing waste that I put in a little baggie because I needed all of my bins. And this, in this massive grocery bag, are all of the balls of pop I've combed. So I've gone a pretty decent way into my balls of pop. So I have, these are the maroon ones. I'm just going to tell you the color because my webcam hates the Wilton, anything I dye with Wilton's Violet, it just hates, it cannot capture. It must actually be violet. Well-known CCD camera issues. So, I don't know whether or not I have equal parts waste and finished stuff. We'll see how everything comes together. But I've made really good progress on that. I have a comb full of wool right now that I left downstairs because I was sort of carrying everything upstairs, or half of the things upstairs at once, and it was just a little too awkward. But I'm hoping I can finish that actually combing this week, and then I can pull out my hackle, and then I can do all of it, whatever, do the combination, and then pull the final top. So that's coming along nicely, and that's a part of a couple of different challenges. The Stockinit Zombies are doing a goal along for 2019, and my item 1 is to finish processing that fleece. So this fleece is one that I got at the Fiber event in 2014. It is a Corriedale Cross Shell and Cross BFL. So 50% Corriedale, 25% BFL, 25% Shetland. It is really gorgeous, really soft, really looking forward to whatever in the world I make with it. But I need to finish processing it. It's been too long. And then that fleece there is hanging over my head. And that will also be an ordeal. That might be the case where I actually suck it up, Buttercup, and buy a drop carder. Just saying. So that's my Romney fleece. This is my cross fleece. And since I had all of this time, I stuck all of my white fleece in to soak, and I dyed it all. So I dyed it into 3 different colors. And maybe I'm a little bit bummed about this one, but I'm sure it'll turn out fine. This one is mostly black, but black dye doesn't really, it doesn't strike. For whatever reason, when I've been doing this food coloring thing, it doesn't strike very evenly. It's just sort of all sorts of crazy colors, which is fine. So this is about 2 parts black to 1 part cornflower blue to 1 part royal blue. And it's still very damp. The primary things that come across is sort of a very deep sultry purple, and then this piney green. And you can see the piney green. I'm not sure if the sultry purple is coming through, but this section here is sort of aubergine-y sort of purple. Sorry, dark. And I need to lay this out and get a fan on it and dry it off. So this is, I think, most of the weight. I wasn't very even about splitting it. This guy here was equal parts, what would it be? Equal parts royal blue. Okay. There we go. Equal parts, what would it be? It's 2 different, royal blue and delphinium blue. And, oh, it glows. But really, it turned out super duper dark purple. I think I also maybe, actually, this one isn't that one actually. This one is 1 part black, 3 parts cornflower. And I added the black last, so you get some of these piney greens from the black, and for whatever reason the cornflower blue broke quite a lot, and I also got sort of this, definitely a normal sort of eggplant, purpley aubergine dealio. So this, I think, was what I was hoping the purple to be, but got by primarily using blue dye. And then the last one was the equal parts the equal parts royal blue and delphinium blue. And delphinium blue definitely has some green in it as well. And this is like the color of my heart. So it's a little bit purple, but like mostly teal and blue. So super duper gorgeous, super duper excited about this one. I wish I had dyed more of it this way. So I do have more of those dyes left, so who knows. Something to do in the future. So those need to dry. Once they're dry, then I can start combing them. And then once I comb them, I can hackle them. And then I will have lots and lots and lots of top. And luckily, a decent amount of focus wrapped around this project and getting it done. So it's not going to result in a lot of knitting or spinning progress, but I'll show you my fleece prep journey until it gets to a real spinning project. And then, what would it be? I'm getting much, much closer now. So hopefully I can get this project all to a point where it's all top, and I think that that'll be a better place. So since I had all these pots of acidic water, I decided, what the hell? I am going to dye some yarn that I had been intending to dye. So I ran upstairs and I knew I wanted to dye my camel silk. Excuse me, this is like super duper damp. So I threw this into a pot with an entire bottle of yellow food coloring. And since I was upstairs, I also noted that I wanted to dye my Hog Island. So I also grabbed that too, and they were dry, and I just stuck them in the pot. And then I sort of pushed down. And then they both came out. This one was a little bit darker because it was already tan, and it didn't quite take the dye as fast as this guy did. So then what I ended up doing was then I had a few rounds of what I did was I mixed equal parts red and green together to sort of darken it up a little bit. And then when I was sort of done with the darkening process, I wound this guy into a hank, or wound it into a tight little skein, and then I dumped it in sort of the leftover red and green. So that sort of gave this one more of an egg yolk tonal appearance to it. So there's a little bit of the sunshine yellow, but there's also more of like an egg yolk yellow going on. And then once I was happy and done with that one, then I took another whole entire bottle of yellow food coloring and dumped it in here. And so I do believe that I managed to achieve sort of that gold color that I was hoping for with this. I wasn't quite as excited about the tan. So now this is sort of a deep gold sort of color, which I think is going to be really lovely. And I think I have about 600 yards of this. I only have like 300 yards of this. So, but it's still damp. And then I have a little bit of sort of a tonal spot based on where my skein ties are. I didn't quite entirely think this through. I just went upstairs and grabbed stuff. But now I no longer have yellow food coloring. So there's that. Because I have a decent number of these. And it smells like citric acid, which isn't too bad. And like wet silk. Not so good. So this is going to be really, really pretty. And now it is one step closer to what it needs to be. So not too crazy. And then this is just super duper ridiculous and cheerful. So I'm not sure what I'm going to combine this with. Wonder if you guys can hear that high quality howl there. But what would it be? I think I'm coming to terms with the fact that some colors that I'm not normally drawn to, I still do actually look good in. Like, this yellow is just fine. Oh well. So, the other thing that I ended up doing was I didn't end up getting started on my little Corriedale bat spin. With all of the fibery fun that had occurred, I realized that I just had a little bit of fiber left over from some classes, and it's been hanging as an unfinished spinning project for years now. So I took, I took some classes with Jillian Moreno, in, what would it be? I believe I took Jillian Moreno classes at SSK in 2017 and then at DFW Fiberfest in 2018. And at SSK I took Bats in the Belfry, and I had spun all of those samples, but I had not finished spinning all of my samples for the fractal class. It wasn't quite as good a class for me, because being a mathematically minded person, I already got it. I made fractal art. I know what a fractal is. So I did learn some good things, and I managed to reapply them, which is whatever. It wasn't like it was a total loss, but it probably wasn't worth 3 hours of my time. You know what I mean? Which, no dig on Jillian. I just already knew it. I don't know why I took the class. She's fabulous. She gave us an ounce of Into the World, because they have a very different way of dyeing. So they're patterns, but they're not necessarily repeating patterns. And the goal was to make it like a cool fractal yarn, but what I did was I made faux logs and spun it as a gradient. Ta-da! So, I might already like blue with rainbow. So I did faux logs with this ounce, lined them up into most of the gradient, tried to spin it long draw, though sometimes that's a personal challenge. And I have a really gorgeous, cute little skein of yarn that's super squishy. It still needs to get washed. I don't even remember the yardage on this bad boy. Let's see how hard it is to find. But it was just sort of the case where, like, hey, it's sort of silly that I've been holding on for this long, since I'm sort of at the beginning of the year. Let's just guilt-free get rid of the sample. Basically, it was like sort of like a start fresh thing, because I wasn't quite feeling starting the bat project quite yet. I think I'm I'm mostly there now. So this is 84 yards and 29 grams. So it turned out really, really nice. I have no clue what the fiber content is, but it wasn't too long. So something soft. And then I had 2 ounces of, so this is, what would it be? It wasn't CJ Kopak, it was a different CJ. So this is a BFL that's in acid green, a medium blue, and then a gray. And I had already sort of looked at my original skein, which was a 3-ply fractal with 1, 3, and 9 split up. So I had 2 ounces of this, so I had 2 different lengths. So what I did was I split them up in the same way and then spun them back to back. This probably will result in slightly different colors than the original 1 ounce I've already made in the class, but it should be fine. And the plan would be to use this all together in the same project. So I'm like, not too much use as a sample. This was a chance to sort of revisit the techniques and make sure I was good. It was so good. It's really, one of the things I learned in the class was that actually not fully stripping can be really nice. So then you have everything just sort of all lined up already. And then you get some barber pole madness with occasional places where everything lines up. I had way more of the thinnest or the most divided singles, and I don't know if that was a case of uneven dividing or something else. It's possible it was uneven dividing. So I have a decent amount of chain ply at the end. So I'll figure out what to do with this. I have no clue on the yardage, but it's about 2 ounces of fiber. So some finished spinning. Not spinning I was expecting to finish, but fine. And then I brought up my Corriedale bats to be like, yes, no, I haven't forgotten them. I'll have to decide if I'm gonna pull it through the Disverse or just spin as is. I did a pretty good job of blending everything, so I'm not sure. I guess I can go pretty wild on whatever in the world I decide I want to do. But that's going to be the next one. And then I'll be slightly bewildered because I swore I had 11 ounces of this and not 8. I don't know why it would be so different. I probably just need to reweigh it again for sanity. Because that's the difference between 2 bobbins and 1 bobbin. So, yeah, no, I haven't quite decided what I want to do or how I want to spin it and that sort of thing. So I'll have to sit down and ponder that at some point after I take care of some of the other random weirdo things going around the house. No new stash positions this week. It may be a while before more stash positions anyways. I did have a chance to record the Flash Your Stash video. I was so tired that day. So that was Tuesday. Oh my gosh. Had to wake up at 3:45 to take the Dear Sweet Lovable One to the airport with his ridiculous things. I sort of went over it to sort of get myself into the video. And I stayed up all day. I didn't take any naps. I should have. That would have made things better. But I don't think it was too crazy. It was a chance to go through everything. I did miss one bag. I found it as I was putting things away. Some people were wise and just didn't include the scraps, and I can see their wisdom, because it is a pain to find and deal with all of them. But whatever. So I did a similar thing, maybe with less good lighting, of all of my fibers. So as it stands right now, I probably have more volume of fiber in my stash than I do volume of yarn, which is entirely different than weight. You can fit a lot of yarn into a Ziploc baggie. And so that was sort of, I think, what would it be like? These projects here are an after effect of going through my stash and figuring out things that I hadn't thought a lot about. So if you want to see, the video is pretty long, you could probably watch half of it and get most of what you wanted to see. A lot of it is me like trying to figure out how I want to put things away and what things I haven't documented yet and that sort of thing. And I still ended up missing some things that don't have pictures and that sort of thing. So, whatever. And I definitely still need to finish documenting my fiber stash. I basically had none of the yarn school stuff in there. And when you sit down and think about it, I got more than a year's worth of spinning by visiting one yarn school. Which is bonkers. Bonkers, I say. So, whatever. So as a result, I do need to document all of that, because like it all went by so fast. It was so quick and easy to dye 8 ounces of fiber at a time, but now that's a lot of fiber. That's a lot of fiber indeed. So as a result, it has made me a bit stash conscious, so I will be mindful about using it and that sort of thing. So another challenge that I'm taking part of in order to sort of get through my cross fleece is the Fun Onion Accountability Challenge. So it was the case where part of that is understanding what you're buying and understanding what you're spinning. And I just put an informal goal of this year using twice as much as I buy. Just because the stash isn't fitting very well on the shelf right now. It is not well contained. Oh, you're a little bit frozen. So, is it totally frozen? Okay, we're better now. So because it's not fitting very well on the stash, or very well on the shelf right now, that's just an intention that I have. It's not like, it's more just like, perhaps that would be wise. And especially the fact that it may end up in storage for some unknown amount of time. I definitely want to make sure that, what would it be? That I know exactly what I'm going to do and that sort of thing. If that makes sense. A certain amount of mindfulness, I guess. But what was also interesting about sort of like sorting through the fiber stash was looking and seeing like where I have like a decent amount or where I've like been very good on top of using it versus spots where I have not been as good. I think I showed you guys my bin, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I showed you guys the bin. So a big thing there was just sort of being like, okay, what haven't I been using, and putting it in the bin is probably the best way to guarantee that I do use it. And what would it be? It was just interesting to see, okay, I have tons of stuff from Rhinebeck. I have a decent amount from DSW Fiberfest. I was actually impressed. I really don't have a lot of excess SSK fiber stash, so that's cool. That's good. I have a decent amount that are like gifts and that sort of thing. That's fine. I still have quite a lot of nest, and then it just sort of highlighted to me what an obscene amount of fiber I had from yarn school. I probably should have put some of it in my bin, but I didn't. I'm focusing on some of the weird stuff this year. So, and generally the way it works out is that there's time to do other things too. So that shouldn't be too crazy. What would it be? So, like, for example, one thing that I'm going to be doing after I finish combing will be to take all of the waste I have so far and comb it again. So sort of mix everything up. I definitely have very different amounts of leftovers between everything, which is interesting. Oh, I guess maybe not all of this is one thing. But, so that'll be a really good opportunity to go through and probably put together like a spindle project with some of the, what would it be, to make like a small skein that way. I don't know whether or not I'm going to do something with the hackle waste or put that all together into something. I think that might actually be cool, because right now I have about an ounce of waste, from my first round of hackling, so 3 ounces is decent enough for something. So I think that's what I'm going to do there, and just sort of put together a couple of like interesting things of maybe I have no clue what to do with the yarn. I would say another thing that's been, or what would it be, when I was sort of looking at all of these hand spun scraps and samples is the reason why I spun this just like my original sample was because I wanted to make a Tensfield hat with it, and I think that would be a really great opportunity to make some cool hats with that. So that is something that has been inspiring me lately. So that might be a way of sort of using up some of the smaller bits in sort of a graphic way, and I think handspun is going to be really nicely highlighted with that pattern because of its natural stripiness. So I can see all sorts of fun happening there. Let's see. My yarn stash is pretty much up to date now, which is good. Another thing that I'll probably end up focusing on is, or one thing that I would like to do as time permits, is sort of that box up there. Much better with the ups than the sideways. Is those are the bats I made in the drum cutting class. So I will be probably spinning those up just because they're big. As you do. And that should be a lot of fun. I'm like, what would it be? I still really want that stupid drum cutter. Like, it hasn't stopped. Oh well, such is life. So that's sort of, what would it be, where my head is now, is just sort of like prioritizing, I think, handspun for a little while, I think is a really cool, or whatever, a really good thing, just because I have quite a lot of it, and I need to, you need to be sort of slowly but surely using it as you make it so that you can keep an eye on how things are coming together. Like, this guy just has, I don't know, after I've washed it again, or whatever, after it had its trip in the bath, it doesn't seem to be maybe quite as springy as what it was fresh after the wash, but I do find the little curly cues on this to be very interesting because it didn't come off that way, it like ended up washing that way. And I probably should wash this guy today, along with the camel silk as well. Get all of that extra citric acid out of it. And make sure that it isn't bleeding or anything like that, because I'll probably combine this with another yarn. I may end up combining it with my very crazy my Three Waters farm skein that also has interesting textual elements. I think it's my reversed, or my SSZ or ZZS 3-ply that I ended up making but didn't ply right. But now this is sort of a fun color, so that'll be, I bet that will look pretty nice. I can't even see the scene. Whatever. So just sort of plotting a little bit about what direction I want to head, and should be good. What will that be? Should be able to record next week. We'll see if it is Saturday or Sunday. Who knows? I certainly don't. And it shouldn't be too crazy. I'm trying to think about what would it be if there are vague rumblings of a cow going through my head. So I'll have to think about that a little bit. I don't know if it would be the case where it would be along the lines of either knitting the precious or going for something that is like something that's inspiring you or that sort of thing. So let me know if you're interested in either of those themes. I get the feeling that it seems like a good time now. The before Christmas run up is a little bit too wackadoodle, but the winter is a good time for the knitting. And I'm definitely feeling much more inspired because I'm not constrained by the hot weather in Texas. So that is exciting to me. So with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.